Hi there, and welcome back to the official MerchSprout YouTube channel. This is where we teach people like you how to get quality items from China and Asia. Now, I'm super stoked to talk to you today about something that's really close to our hearts here, and that's how to find real China factory exports. Now, in this video, I'll show you not only how to find excellent quality Chinese suppliers, but get them the best price possible and import them directly to you. Okay, let's dive straight in. Hi, I'm George Chewson and I'm the owner of MerchSprout. If you don't know us already, we help people like you get stock from China by building fantastic relationships with manufacturers through auditing, quality control and robust assurance. We build sustainable relationships with sustainable suppliers, which means that our customers get the best quality suppliers, best quality components. We have loads of information on our YouTube channel, so be sure to hit that subscribe button as it helps us keep the momentum going and keep on creating these quality content videos. Okay, so let's first discuss why we need to go to China in the first place and look at China as a manufacturing facility. Now, if you don't know China, let me give you a bit of background to it. China is around 1.4 billion people, so it has a massive workforce, and because of economic scale laws, you inevitably get a very competitive labour rate, which means that you are able to produce products that are cheaper to manufacture at scale. Now, there are many layers of nuance to this statement, but the bottom line is that the labour pool is massive, therefore it's very competitive with the prices. And it's very competitive to source items for your Amazon FBA store, Shopify site, or even your brick and mortar shop. So, why do we chase the bottom line price? A rough rule of thumb is 4 times the multiplier, meaning that if you mark up your e-com product 4 times to turn a profit, for every £1, $1, or I don't know, 1 potato that you spend on sourcing, shipping and importing. Meaning that if you source and import a component for £1, you need to apply an online price of £4. Or if you have to spend 2 potatoes getting your stock to the UK, or I don't know, where do they use potatoes as currency? Russia? No, wait, they don't. I live in Russia. My wife's Russian. I don't think that's racist. Anyway, you'd need to have an online price of 8 potatoes. You get the idea. Now, 1, 4. Now, the best way to reduce that price initially is to reduce the piece cost of the component at its source while still maintaining its quality. And that's what we concentrate on, getting good quality components at the best value for money. Because if you can reduce that bottom line cost, you can increase your profits or undercut your competitors. So let's get down to business. Now we know why China is the place to source. We need to know how to find components in China. Here, there are a couple of categories of options. There is the actual going to China in person, which currently, because of the pandemic, I don't know if you've heard about it, very small issue. It might have been on the news where you are. Anyway, so international travel is the best way of actually seeking suppliers in person. And in normal times, the Canton Fair is the best place to start on your journey of supplier searching. I say it's probably the best place to start on your trip because it's all in one place. It's an international expo, it has thousands of suppliers there. Now, and it's also orientated towards the international buyer, and the majority of the sellers, if not all, have export licenses, meaning that they can offer you FOB terms of shipping. Now, don't worry about shipping terms for now, but all you want to know is FOB is the easiest way to actually get stock manufactured and transported from your supplier through customs and onto a waiting boat at your port of exit closest to your manufacturer. Now, the majority of the time, this is Guangzhou or Shenzhen or Shanghai. The suppliers who are there at Canton Fair will usually speak English pretty well, or, except to an acceptable level, or will have someone on their stand who can speak English. And honestly, you'll get to learn the market and what China has to offer. If you're still a little nervous about attending the fair unattended, please feel free to get in touch with me and I can give you my recommendations of contacts to use when China opens up its doors again. Secondly, you'll just have a fantastic time in China. As Guangzhou is an incredible city, it's still in my top 3 places to spend time, of which I spent a considerable amount of time there. My advice here would be to take some time, have a look around the fair, have a look around each areas of the fair, and you'll never get around it all, and after 3 days of looking at suppliers, you'll be exhausted, head in a spin, a little jet lagged, and Now with energy levels dropping, it's easy to think that this is all a bit too hard, but don't worry. I've got a top tip for you. Get all the business cards, take photos of the stands and label it on your phone so the information is easily distinguishable at a later stage when you're a bit less jet lagged. And trust me, after seeing a few hundred stands in a single day, it starts to become a bit Groundhog Day-esque. Then, once you've started to get a feel for suppliers, arrange to meet a few at their facilities if you've got time. Now, even if it's just one or two of them, you can start to grow your skills, and the more factories you see, the better you'll be as a buyer. Now, I recommend you have a look at our video on what to look for in factory audits. Now, once you have an idea of what you want, your product, you can dig into the detail of what is on offer and if the supplier can make your components. But whoa, let's roll back a minute. I hear you say, hey George, it's 2021, brother. I can't get to China without sitting in a hotel room for 2 weeks. And I say to that, no. First of all, what's wrong with that? Get away from the wife a little bit, of course. I joke. I love my wife so much. Okay, yeah, so 2021 again is going to be a bit of a curveball, but fear not, there is a fantastic way to find outstanding quality suppliers on Alibaba and online. And with a bit of due diligence, you can also find suppliers as good as Canton Fair on Alibaba. Now, Alibaba does take a bit of time to sift through the dregs at the bottom, but there are some pots of gold in suppliers just waiting to be picked up. And there's a strategy to finding these suppliers, and it's something that we refined while searching through thousands of Alibaba listings. And that's to ensure that when you are searching on Alibaba, you utilize a robust RFQ. Now, we did a full video on how to make an RFQ and the importance of having one, and you can find it here, or here, or here. The bottom line is to ensure that you have a robust RFQ with all your standards, order quantity, and drawings specified, and get better, more accurate quotes as a result. Now, once you have earmarked many suppliers, you can then really start to dive into the details, start to inquire about some of the specifics in their factories. Again, have a look at our video on auditing if you need a selection of questions to ask suppliers. And don't forget, you want suppliers who will be proactive in their replies. And again, if something usually feels too good to be true, it probably is. When people talk about Alibaba scams, it's not usually the case that they were scammed. Usually they didn't conduct enough due diligence, were chasing the lowest cost, and now picking up the pieces because they chose a supplier that produces poor quality components. And the fix to avoiding these scams is ensuring that you double and triple check everything at every opportunity. So what do I mean by that? Now, you want to be checking samples before ordering anything, obviously. And if you are sourcing anything from anywhere, you want to be really getting a few different samples from a few different suppliers, not only from a single supplier. Never ever put all your eggs into one basket. Now, suppose you're a bit worried about getting all these items shipped from different suppliers, and it's worth here getting a sourcing team in China to consolidate and inspect your samples into one single shipment and sending it via DHL or another shipping company. But I always advise DHL, as I've only ever had one thing held at customs, and that's pretty good odds. So searching Alibaba does take some time and patience, but if you are starting, it's the place to go instead of getting on a plane and visiting the facilities actually in person. So let's say you found a supplier and you've started to talk to them. I think you should treat it a little bit like Tinder, play it cool. Remember, we're trying to build a relationship here. And I'm pretty old school. And we need to wine and dine partners before getting into bed with them. Make sure we're compatible, know them a bit, ask about their current relationships, build some rapport. Now, the language barrier here can be daunting sometimes, and remember, many suppliers will have learned English at school, and unless you're an expert in Mandarin, the best way of communication is via email. But that's not to say that there's not always a perfect way to check things. Ensure that when you're communicating, you use drawings, and ensure that when you have them, double check with the supplier that they've understood your requests. And remember here that between China and the West, there are some cultural chasms that you need to understand before dealing with China, because the Chinese are very non-aggressive. They'll not interrupt you or say that they don't understand you. Make sure that you double check that they know the information that you've provided, which is one reason why I always recommend using drawings. Once the drawings are understood, it's then time to get down to actual brass tacks. Now, we've spoken about Alibaba in the above templates, but it doesn't matter which search engine you use. Alibaba1688.com, global sources, madeinchina.com. The list goes on. What you want to ensure is you're getting the best bang for your buck. So an easy way to do this is to head onto Alibaba, find several vendors that you want to work with, send out many RFQs to Supplier, and start to build an idea of the real cost of the product. So what do I mean by that? Because there is common misconception that Western sellers are awash with cash, they can absorb higher costs, meaning that the charge that the supplier provides to you is higher than the same supplier is giving on 1688.com or other sites. So it's always good to have a look around, do a bit of research and negotiating in a friendly way. If you found the vendor on Alibaba and you're happy with, head over to 1688.com and send the question again to that very same vendor with a different email. See if there's a difference in price. I know this may be a bit difficult with 1688 being in Chinese, but Google Translate works pretty well on it. Now, once you've got your real costs in agreement with suppliers, if you want to keep your options open, get them to agree to the price. See if they'll put it into a writing, into a contract, so you can reference it later on. So next on the list is samples. So how to order samples. Now, you found your supplier, you've discussed your design and confirmed it with them in a communication language that works. You've agreed upon a plan and have a drawing that you're happy with and the factory is satisfied also. You want to ensure that the factory can construct the component, and to do this, you need to be requesting that they make a golden sample. I always ask suppliers to make a couple of golden samples, and I'll tell you why in a second, but a golden sample is a sample that you need to sign off to ensure that you're happy with design, color, fit, and finish. Now, I know it's easy to think, I've given the supplier all the information they'll ever need. I don't need to okay a sample. It costs like 5 to 6 times the cost of an individual component, and then I have to pay for shipping and. Look, right, I know sometimes it's a bitter pill to swallow here. That investment in a sample, and sometimes you can ask a supplier to knock the sample's cost off the order. But I cannot stress how important it is to get that sample sent to you for you to okay it. And at every iteration of design, make sure that they've noted it down. And guess what? If your requested has changed, make sure that you get an updated sample, or at the very least, have the supplier prove to you without a doubt that the fixes or design changes requested have been implemented, and indeed can be implemented. Again, remember here that the Chinese suppliers love to say yes, but what they actually mean is no. And you know, when I said get 2 or more golden samples made, one of these samples will be used by your inspection agent when they come to inspect your products at the end of production. Now, once you've got all your ducks lined up, you're happy with your samples, and you've implemented and agreed on all changes, then it's time to press the button and go for production. But before starting production, it's good to get everything down in a contract. Now, I know some people shudder when they say contracts, especially when dealing with Chinese suppliers, and I get it, honestly, I do. Sometimes contracts are not worth the paper they're written on in China, and sometimes, yes, they are. But things like prices can change, and it's a good practice to have a contract with an agreed golden sample reference with anything else, any other details referenced. Because if any quality issues occur or stupid mistakes are made, it's always easy to argue your side when you have an agreed contract after production has occurred. So spend a bit of time getting everything into a single document and getting your supplier to agree to it. If it's not written down and spelled out, suppliers will get it wrong. Now, I know this is not every single item that you'll need to know or answer all your questions on getting things from China and importing them into your country. But if you start with what we've discussed here today, you should find some great suppliers and great prices. You'll also find the actual price and start your journey to find that sustainable manufacturing partner. Now, if you've liked this video, please like and subscribe for more useful China sourcing content. It really helps us out and ensures that we can continue making good quality content like this to help you guys out. Thanks very much for watching. See you next time.